And welcome to Thursday. I am so excited to be here today. I am joined by David Whitaker, who's the president and CEO of Greater Miami and Miami Beach, which, as you can see behind him, just looks like a place that we all would like to be right now, David. We are going to be talking about sustainable meetings today, which is, I think, a really exciting topic. I think that even the idea of sustainability, I think, took a little bit of a step back during COVID, and it's great to see a renewed focus, a renewed resurgence around our sustainability issues as an meetings industry. And I think with so many companies focused on ESG, this is a great time to really talk about everything that's happening in Miami. And what I love, David, I did a little bit of pre-work about your community, is that you guys have thought about sustainability from the moment someone arrives until the moment they leave your destination. So for our viewers today, we're going to be spending about 20 minutes, as much as we could be here for 3 hours. David has other things to do, he's told me. So we're gonna keep
gotta get to the beach.
That's right. We're gonna keep it short and sweet. But David, I just want to start with our first question, which is, why should people look to Greater Miami and Miami Beach for their sustainable meetings?
And Rachel, thank you, and thank MPI. Thank you, MPI. And I will tell you, even before this first question that I'm going to get to, I want to commend the meeting planner community, because they're the ones who are driving destinations, challenging destinations, because their clients care, their sponsors care, their institution and the organizations they represent care. But they really were, to a large extent, the stimulus of saying to destinations, hey, we want to meet in your destination, but we have high expectations for your commitment to sustainability. So this is obviously an important business decision for us to accommodate the needs of our clients, but it's also obviously the right thing to do. And so, for your first question about why should people take a look at Miami, you mentioned it. We want to talk with and plan for that experience from the moment you arrive, the whole time you're here, whether it's at the convention center, your lodging, to some of the things that you can do while you're here. And so, of course, speaking of arrival, it starts at Miami International Airport. They have the state of Florida's largest public-private partnership with our Florida Power and Light, our power company for the state. It's called the Sustainability Project. People can Google that and learn more about it, and we'll educate planners as we engage with them. But working at Miami International Airport, it's everything from energy-efficient lighting, heating, ventilation. They, in fact, spent millions of dollars on the whole baggage handling system, and that was the one thing missing that now has allowed our airport to be a LEED Gold airport. And so that airport experience and that commitment to sustainability, I want to commend, obviously, our partners in every destination's airport is important in the commitment to sustainability. Then once you arrive at the airport, of course, it's getting you to your hotel and to the convention center. We have a tri-rail network, whether it's literally leaving the airport where you don't have to be in a car, taking the train. It connects through an intermodal system with both our tri-rail, which is our multiple county train system, as well as now Brightline, which is connecting us, thankfully, all the way up to Orlando. And then the Metro Mover, which of course gets people around through a spider web of above ground transit. So, we want to make sure people have options, even our bus system with our electric buses. And more, we see our delegates arriving at the convention center, getting off of a bus, as opposed to driving and parking in the parking garage. We have a wonderful bike share program and again, we're very pedestrian friendly. Miami Beach is known for a great convention center, but it's also a great place to take a bike ride. And then our hotels have gotten on board, as in all destinations, right? We have, working with our hotel association, it's called the Green Lodging Program. Again, a great thing to Google and learn more about. And over 24 of our hotels have signed on for the Green Lodging Program, where they get a certification and are evaluated on a dozen or so points of commitment to being sustainable.
I love it. I would say you're definitely developing what I would call quite a competitive advantage as it relates to sustainability, and really thinking about it holistically, so that, it's not, because as a DMO, that's what you represent, right? And I know after 25 years representing a DMO at Visit Denver, like, you're responsible for everything. And I think just the thoughtful approach that your community has taken is really exciting, and something that I'm sure, like I said, is giving you quite a competitive advantage in the sustainability world. And when we're talking about people that are focused on sustainable meetings. Let's talk a little bit about what they can expect to look forward to when they come to Greater Miami and Miami Beach and really looking at meeting offerings, and then let's talk infrastructure.
Well, it obviously starts and ends with our incredible, newly renovated, newly reimagined Miami Beach Convention Center. Almost $700 million expansion and improvement program. A nationally known architect, we were talking about this earlier offline, Fentress Architects and our local Architectonica. They collaborated to create, sustainable design. I mean, it's one of the most, in terms of ambient light and natural light, it's incredible in terms of the lighting that's there, just through natural, but then the operational procedures, right? Even the renovations used repurposed and recycled building materials and helping us build that out. And two, the Miami Beach Convention Center is now a LEED Silver certified program. So we're really proud of the partnership. They've started a great program with their food and beverage vendor, Sodexo Live. Sodexo Live operates a lot of arenas and venues around the country. We'd love to say we have some of the best food, but more importantly, we have some of the most sustainable food offerings here at the Miami Beach Convention Center. In fact, Sodexo has, as many people do, but we're really proud of our herb and vegetable garden. They're working in partnership with the Convention Center. In fact, that's a great venue in itself for meeting planners to activate when they're here. And then more importantly, they just launched a very robust compost program. They've invested literally hundreds of thousands of dollars in new technology so that all of that leftover food can be part of a compost program. And they launched with their partners what's called Conventions Care, CARE, the Community Assistance by Responsible Events. Through that, and collaborating with our meeting planners who use the Convention Center, we have a program now in the Convention Center where we can donate almost everything that's left behind, whether it's carpeting, whether it's materials, exhibit, anything left behind. Lots of boxes, of course, but we have programs where we're able to donate that and get that back into both recycling programs as well as repurposing programs. I can't commend the Miami Beach Convention Center enough, but they are our partners and our meeting planners partners in making sure that we host you sustainably.
You mentioned that convention center, and I cannot wait to see it because, Fentress Architects, I'm very familiar with them. They did rounds 1 and 2 in Denver. And I think what's great about what you talked about is you're probably two really important partners, right? The architect you're going to be working with, and then you talked about food service, and to think that you all didn't have to drag your partners along, right? That you actually had partners that were willing to lead that charge with you. And on the food side, we did a sustainability training just yesterday, and we actually had one of your team members there. And food waste is the biggest opportunity that we have. And so I think it's just such a powerful place for you all to focus. So we've talked a little bit about that arrival experience, right? When people come in and they experience the airport and then they get to the convention center, which is going to be breathtakingly gorgeous with the views you have there, but also has a lot of sustainability happening as well. Can you talk about some examples of activities or attractions that are in your destination that also practice really strong sustainability efforts?
Yeah, I mean, it's a couple of great examples and great questions, right? The Perez Art Museum, and we're really proud of our partnership with the Perez Art Museum. And it's relatively new. It's only been around for about a decade. Literally the building as it was built, and this, to your point earlier, this is the intentionality has to be everything from construction to operation, right? So the Perez Art Museum was built with 100% recycled plastic and rebar when it was built. The Patricia Frost Museum of Science, obviously every destination that has a science museum, that's a great forum for education, for stimulation, and sustainability. They are a LEED Gold certified museum as well. And then we have great programs even in the community like Eco Adventure Tourism, and again, we're one of those destinations. We have the Everglades to our west. We have the Atlantic Ocean to our east. We have the Florida Keys to our south. And we have Miami Beach as our doorstep, right? And so we have to live, eat, and breathe sustainability for our own survival. But also it's a great chance for people to take tours, eco-friendly tours, eco-education tours, and again, eco-adventure tours. That's all they put together. And it's a great way to do team building. It's a great way to do off-site activities with our meeting planner community.
I think that so much of that really speaks to especially our younger generation. So the generation that's, whether they're entering in as attendees to these meetings or they're entering in as meeting professionals and event strategists, but this idea of they want to go to places where the whole community really rallies around sustainability, and it's not just a box to check. So it's really great to see again how pervasive it is in Miami. And when we talk about sort of that idea of the give back, shall we say, and we did have a question that relates to this too from one of our viewers around CSR activities. So talk to us about what opportunities can meeting delegates expect to find for ways that I would say fall into that give back to your community type of way.
Well, in fact, she might be on the call and she'll be embarrassed, but I think we have one of the finest convention services team in the country, and Marianne Schmidhofer, who hopefully all of the participants on this call know Marianne Schmidhofer, who's our director of client services. She's the internal in our own staff team. She's the chair of our sustainability committee internally. And she's so passionate. I mean, she lives and breathes and challenges us internally about this every day. But we really have categorized our CSR into 6 kind of categories. And we really want to reach out to the meeting planner proactively and say, hey, what is it you want to do? What is it that's important to you and your colleagues and your clients or your sponsors? And the 6 categories are animals. Obviously, a lot of work can be done there. Arts and culture, children, the elderly, the environment, and food security. And so we have these 6 categories. And within each 6 categories, we can walk a meeting planner through 4 or 5 options for them to do a day of giving, a day of participation. And once we get their kind of category of interest, then we can really plug them in and do a wonderful program.
It's so powerful too, because I think from our meeting planner perspective, they want to be able to offer these types of opportunities, right? But they're also so busy putting on a pretty incredible meeting. So really feeling like they have that partnership with your destination, I think speaks volumes. And I know, and I can speak from experience with this too, you really have to have someone on staff who is passionate about this, right? Who really eats, sleeps, and breathes it, don't you think?
Absolutely. And Marianne, in fact, she just got a Lifetime Achievement Award at a recent major meeting event. So we're very, very proud of her. But what she is a conduit, because she's simply the gatekeeper and the conduit to make sure that we plan with the planner an activity that really resonates with their clients and is meaningful. And by the way, at the end of the day, if you're dealing with animals or children, how can you go wrong, right?
Yeah. I know when you started with animals, I was like, okay, you have me. But then even when you moved into elderly and children, I was like, wow, like how do you pick? So big shout out to Marianne. And we also, I'll tell you with our comments here, we also have another fan who's here on the line with us, Melody Dixon, who really, I think her last comment was really powerful. She said, you're right. It's not just a box to check. It is a movement. And we need to get better about being intentional around our events. So I think thank you, Melody, for that. It sounds like she's planning corporate meetings and doing a lot of stuff in this sustainability space. So we appreciate your participation. So David, I want to just stay on obviously our sustainability topic, but switch gears a little bit here and talk about what are some proactive initiatives that Greater Miami and Miami Beach are specifically taking on to inspire sustainability practices, again, that sort of permeate throughout the whole destination.
Well, one of the things I'm most proud of, and really you have to be intentional, as we've discussed. We've retained a nationally recognized consultant. We'll let you learn more about the role they can play, the toolbox that they're helping us create to develop, like I said, a toolbox, right? So we have to walk the walk at the Greater Miami Convention and Visitor Bureau. So we've created an internal working committee. I've committed both budget resources and accountability. Our senior management team is 100% behind this. Marianne is leading it. But we all have a consultant. And literally, a great example, we have the challenge but the privilege of moving soon. The rents, as we all know, rents are going up all over the country. And where we have our office, the rent is getting a little bit too much for a nonprofit organization. So we have to move. And we're downsizing because we can, and technology has changed the footprint. But in moving to a new office tower, staying downtown, of course, but we now have a chance, and the building was totally gutted, our floor. So everything from the carpeting to the furniture to the lighting to the ecosystem that we build for our employee work campus and work office, we have a major commitment. It's a LEED building. There's some standards that we have to achieve as tenants. And so we're using that opportunity to really up our game in terms of our internal commitment. Right. And they're going to just have to teach me to quit making so many copies of things because I'm old school in that regard, right? But then, of course, with this consultant, and this is a chance really for me, again, I applaud MPI, and I know you already know much of this, as do our clients. They probably know more about this than I do. But if you haven't heard of SDG, right, Sustainable Development Goals, I encourage anyone on this call who hasn't to go to the website. It's a United Nations program. It's called Sustainable Development Goals, SDG. And there are literally 17 goals that the United Nations has created in 3 different categories. Obviously, things from the water to the air to the sea life to animal life, a category on health and wellness, a category on poverty and food insecurity. There are 17 goals that are, and you can't tackle all 17 at once. We've actually identified 7 of them that we're tackling first, but there are standards, guidelines, benchmarks. It's all about scalability. And so it's a great roadmap for us. I'm so thrilled that we have a consultant who's helping us navigate through creating those goals, how they then translate for us as an organization, how we can be held accountable in terms of measurement. But I really do, for anyone who hasn't yet learned about the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDG, please take a moment, go look at their website, look at the toolkit, and find a way that you start implementing some of those things in your organization, as well as the incredible power our meeting planners have to ask for their host city to demonstrate a commitment to achieving the mutual goals.
You know, it's so true. I think the theme throughout our time today here with you all and your city has been proactive, right? And I think when you look at the travel industry, it can really, if we don't get out and lead in this way, then decisions will be made for us. And I know early on, I remember having conversations with people about the impact of a carbon footprint of a flight, right? And really getting creative about that because we're in the travel industry. So we need people to get on planes, right? We need people to, not all of us have destinations you can drive to. So we need people to be able to do that, but we also need to do it in a responsible way. And what you're doing is just making sure that the tail is not wagging the dog, right? You're really out there and saying we're leading and we're going to step out in front. And I think the other thing that you mentioned that I think is super helpful to remember around sustainability is you mentioned those UN goals. When you look at 17, it's overwhelming, right? So you can kind of have this, I'm not gonna do anything because I'm paralyzed by how much there is to do. So the idea of starting small and looking and saying, where can you make a difference and where can you really own something, I think is super important. And you're going to get there with the printing, David. I'm surprised COVID didn't totally break you of that, but again, you got to start small and give yourself some grace, right?
Well, as long as I can keep my Post-it notepads, I'll be okay.
Yeah. We just got to make sure they're printed on recycled material. I think it'll be fine. But is there anything else as we wrap up our time? I'll check and see if we have any other questions, but anything else you'd like the viewers today to know about really what makes Greater Miami and Miami Beach different? No,
so as I always do, I'll end the same way. Thank you. Thank you to MPI. Thank you for making this a commitment through our industry. And thank you to the meeting planner community. They have huge responsibilities and they have the expectations of their clients and their members and their allied partners. And so they have tremendous influence where they're choosing to go. I encourage them to challenge us when they come to Miami Beach. We look forward to sustaining and fulfilling their goals, no pun intended. But also, like I said, the meeting planner community has tremendous, and they've been leaders in this for many, many decades, right? Whether it was diversity and inclusion, whether it's corporate social responsibility, whether it's the environment. Meeting planners have so much influence and power, and now we can all join together to make sure that when we have a successful meeting, it's also a sustainable meeting. And we're achieving a lot of important things for us, for our community, and for those who expect the best from us. That's great. Really great. Thank you so much. And we did have, Michael had a great comment in here that I'm going to share too, because he provided some other resources. And I appreciate you sharing the UN one with our community as well. But he's got one here, sciencebasedtargets.org and ECOVADIS. Sorry, my eyes aren't as good as they used to be because I'm not part of that younger generation, you see. We've got those up now for people to be able to see those.
But David, I really thank you. I thank you for your time today, but I also just thank you for your commitment around sustainability. And like I said, what really stuck out to me as I was preparing for this was just how intentional you've been about from the moment they land in your destination. And I think that's a legacy that you should be really proud of. And I certainly don't get the impression that anyone on your team is resting on those laurels. It sounds like Mary Ann's going to hold everybody to task. So I'm excited to see what you all do next. But really hats off to you, because sustainability is something that is a shared goal that we have at MPI as well. So we really appreciate your time today, David, and everything your team and your community is doing for sustainable meetings in our industry.
Well, it's a mutual love fest.
Good. I love that. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great rest of your Thursday and enjoy your weekend.
Come see us in Miami Beach.
I want to. I'm coming. I promise.